There is a particular kind of silence that settles over a stadium when a team realizes it cannot win. It is not the silence of being outplayed. It is not the stunned hush after a wonder goal. It is something colder than that. It is the silence of slowly understanding that the game itself has been taken away from you, pass by pass, minute by minute, until there is nothing left to do but wait for the end you already know is coming. That is what it feels like to play Argentina. They will not always overwhelm you. They will not always pin you back and rain shots on your goal. Sometimes they will let you have the ball. They will let you believe, for a little while, that you are in the game. And that belief is the trap, because the moment you commit, the moment you reach for something, they take it from you and turn it into a dagger before you have even finished your follow-through. The reigning world champions did not get back to this stage by being the most beautiful team on the planet. They got here by being the most ruthless, the most patient, the most willing to do the ugly, unglamorous, terrifying things that actually win World Cups. And in this video, we are going to break down exactly how they do it. The system that strangles teams in the middle of the pitch. The conserved genius who barely runs and yet decides everything. The 3 seconds that turn defense into death. And the dark psychological edge that has broken grown men on the penalty spot and changed the rules of football itself. And by the time we are done, you will never watch them the same way again. But to understand the trap, you first have to understand what happened in Kansas City. The world expected a statement. 4 years ago, Argentina opened their World Cup campaign by losing to Saudi Arabia. An upset so enormous made people wonder whether Messi would ever get his hands on the trophy. So when they walked out for their first match of this tournament against Algeria, there was a question hanging in the humid Missouri air. Was this still the same machine, or had 4 years finally caught up with them? They answered it in 76 minutes. And they answered it through one man. Messi scored in the 17th minute, collecting a cutting pass from his Inter Miami teammate Rodrigo de Paul, and arrowing the ball into the top corner from the edge of the box. He scored again on the hour, reacting quicker than anyone alive to turn in a rebound after the goalkeeper could only parry a low effort. And he completed the hat trick in the 76th minute, exchanging passes and curling a left-footed finish into the bottom corner with the casual cruelty of a man who has done this for 20 years. 3 goals, a clean sheet, a 3-0 win to open the title defense. It was the first World Cup hat trick of Messi's entire career. It came on his 200th appearance for his country. It came 20 years to the day after his World Cup debut, when he came off the bench as a teenager against Serbia and Montenegro. It made him the first man in history to play in 6 different World Cups. And it pulled him level with Miroslav Klose as the all-time leading scorer in the history of the tournament on 16 goals, with one more strike now standing between him and a record that may never be broken again. But here is what you need to understand. Here is the part that should frighten the other 47 teams in this competition. The hat trick was not the terrifying part. The terrifying part was how comfortable it all looked. Argentina did not have to throw everything forward. They did not have to gamble. They controlled the entire 90 minutes, kept Algeria at arm's length, and let their greatest player decide it whenever he felt like it. 10 of the 11 players who started that match were World Cup winners from 2022. The continuity, the calm, the sheer cold professionalism of it was the message. This is a team that does not panic. This is a team that does not need to. And the reason it does not need to begins in the one place every great tournament team is built: the middle of the pitch. Welcome to the engine room. If you want to understand why teams suffocate against Argentina, do not look at Messi first. Look at the 3 men whose entire job is to make sure Messi never has to chase anything. Alexis Mac Allister, Enzo Fernandez, Rodrigo de Paul. On a team sheet, they look like a midfield. In reality, they are a defensive shield, a control mechanism, a slow tightening of the rope. Manager Lionel Scaloni has built his entire vision around the idea that the center of the pitch is the only territory that truly matters, and he has stacked it with players who never stop running, never stop tackling, and never stop closing the gaps that other teams need in order to breathe. The principle is simple, and it is brutal. Keep the players close together. Shorten the distances between them. When you shorten the distances, you shorten the passes. When you shorten the passes, you shorten the time between them. And when you do that, the opposition simply cannot get a clean run at you because every lane is already occupied, every angle is already covered, every escape route is already closed before they even see it. De Paul is the heartbeat of it. He covers ground that should not be physically possible. He breaks up attacks, he wins the ball back, he carries it forward, and then he does it all again 30 seconds later, for 90 minutes, without complaint. Against Algeria, only De Paul and Fernandez made more tackles than Messi himself, which tells you everything about how hard this team works before it even thinks about creating. Enzo Fernandez is the metronome. He sets the tempo, he switches the play, he decides when the game speeds up and when it slows down. And Mac Allister is the connector, the man who finds the seams, the one whose defense-splitting pass sent Messi clean through against Algeria and whose rebound created the second goal. Together, they do not just play midfield, they smother it. They turn the center of the pitch into quicksand. The more an opponent struggles to play through it, the deeper they sink, until they give up trying to go through the middle at all and start hopelessly hoisting long balls down the channels, which, as it happens, is exactly what Argentina want them to do. Because waiting at the back are two of the most ferocious defenders in world football who love nothing more than a long ball to attack. But the engine room is not just about destruction, it is about protection. And the thing it is protecting is the single most important asset in the entire tournament. Because while those three run themselves into the ground, one man is barely running at all. This is the part that makes Argentina different from every other contender. This is the part that, if you are an opponent, should keep you awake the night before the match. Messi is 38 years old, and Argentina have turned his age into a weapon. For most of his career, Messi was a force of relentless motion, dribbling past whole defenses, covering enormous distances, doing everything himself. That player no longer exists, and Scaloni knows it. So instead of asking Messi to be what he was, Argentina have rebuilt the entire team around what he is now. And what he is now might be even more dangerous. Think of him less as a forward and more as a quarterback. He stays in a small radius, often no more than 20 yards across. He walks, he drifts, he conserves every drop of energy. He lets the engine room do the running, lets the chaos happen around him, and waits. And then, in the single moment that matters, he delivers the one pass or the one finish that breaks 3 defensive lines and ends the game. The genius of this is not just tactical, it is biological. When Messi left Europe to join Inter Miami in Major League Soccer, the wider football world treated it as a farewell, a gentle retirement into the sunshine. It was nothing of the sort, it was preparation. By moving to America, Messi stepped off the brutal European treadmill of 60 matches a season. He stopped grinding his body to dust in meaningless midwinter fixtures. He arrived at this World Cup on home soil for his club, fresher than any of his great rivals. Kylian Mbappe and the other young superstars came into this tournament exhausted from a full European campaign. Messi came into it rested, sharpened, saved up for exactly this. You saw the result against Algeria. Commentators expected him to lead the team in the obvious attacking numbers, and he did, taking the most shots and registering the most touches in the opposition box. But the detail that should terrify everyone else was the other side of it. His work rate matched a player half his age. He won duels in the middle of the park. He made tackles. He fed 7 passes into the final third for his teammates. At an age when most players have long since retired, he is doing more, not less, because the system has freed him to spend his energy only where it counts. This is the cruelty of the Argentina plan. They have a player who can decide any match on Earth in a single second, and they have built a machine specifically designed to make sure he always has that second when it matters most. Every other team has to find a way to be brilliant for 90 minutes. Argentina only have to be brilliant for 1. And they have the one man in history most likely to take it. So you cannot relax. Not for a moment. Because the longer the game stays level, the more it suits them. They are happy to wait. They are built to wait. And while you are waiting with them, they are setting a trap that springs faster than you can react. This is where the suffocation turns lethal. This is the 3 seconds that decide everything. Argentina's most devastating weapon is not possession. It is transition. The instant they win the ball back, a switch flips, and the whole team accelerates from patient control to a full-speed attack in the blink of an eye. Scaloni drilled this team to attack the space behind a defensive line in roughly 3 seconds. Win it. Look forward. Go. No hesitation, no recycling. Straight for the throat. It works because of the trap that comes before it. By inviting opponents forward, by letting them commit men into Argentina's half, the engine room creates the perfect conditions for a counter. The moment the opponent loses the ball, they are out of shape, stretched, exposed, with too many players upfield and not enough behind. And that is precisely the moment Argentina pounce. A first pass forward, almost always through the central channel, to shrink the defense and pull it narrow. Then a sudden explosion into the 3 lanes of the pitch, with the forwards and attacking midfielders sprinting into the gaps that have just opened. We have all seen what this looks like at its most devastating. In the 2022 quarterfinal against the Netherlands, Argentina repeatedly turned defense into attack in a heartbeat, slicing through a Dutch side that simply could not get back in time. The opponent thinks they are attacking. 3 seconds later, the ball is in the back of their own net, and they are looking around wondering how it happened. The beauty, if you can call it that, is in the patience. Argentina do not force the transition. They do not gamble on it. They sit, and they control, and they wait for you to overextend, and only then do they unleash it. It is the footballing equivalent of a counterpuncher who lets you throw yourself off balance before landing the one shot that ends the fight. You are not beaten by your own mistake exactly. You are beaten by their patience in waiting for it. And here is the cruelest twist of all. Once a team has been burned by that transition even once, it stops attacking properly. It becomes afraid to commit men forward. It starts leaving extra bodies behind, holding back, refusing to take risks, because the memory of that 3-second knife to the heart is too fresh. And the moment that happens, the moment an opponent decides to stop attacking out of pure fear, Argentina have already won the battle without lifting a finger. They do not even need to score on the counter again. The mere threat of it makes you passive. The mere threat of it shrinks your ambition. They turn your survival instinct into your prison, and then they settle back into their control and wait for Messi to find the one moment that finishes you off for good. And if somehow you avoid making that mistake, if you stay disciplined, keep your shape, refuse to overcommit, and try to grind out a goalless draw, then you run headfirst into the next layer of the nightmare. Because at the back, this team has simply stopped conceding. Defense wins tournaments. It is the oldest cliché in football, and it is a cliché because it is true. And Argentina have taken it to a terrifying extreme. In the run-up to this World Cup, Scaloni's side won 7 matches in a row. Across that entire run, they conceded exactly 1 goal. 1. Against an Algeria side that came to Kansas City with genuine attacking talent, they kept another clean sheet. This is not a team that defends well. This is a team that has turned defending into something close to an art form. A fortress built on 3 men who have made fear their personal trademark. In goal stands Emiliano Martinez, widely regarded as the best goalkeeper of his generation in exactly these moments, the man who won the Golden Glove at the last World Cup, and who, as we will see, is far more than just a shot stopper. In front of him is Christian Romero, the aggressive, combative, snarling center back around whom Scaloni has built his entire defensive identity, a defender who plays every duel like a personal insult that must be avenged. And beside Romero stands Nicolas Otamendi, the grizzled veteran, the experienced foil, a man who has seen everything and fears nothing, who reads danger before it has even formed. The structure they sit inside is rigid and disciplined. When Argentina lose the ball, they do not scatter. They snap into shape, forming layer after layer of defensive lines, each one designed to slow the opponent down, force them sideways, and funnel them into areas where nothing can hurt them. Their pressing is aggressive, and crucially, they do not hesitate to foul if a foul is what stops a dangerous attack. There is nothing accidental about this. It is a choice. A cold, calculated decision that a cynical foul 40 yards from goal is a small price to pay to kill a counterattack stone dead. And when an opponent decides to go long, to bypass the midfield and launch balls toward the strikers, Argentina happily drop off, lower their line, and let Romero and Otamendi win the duels they almost always win. Strong in the air, strong on the ground, strong in the head. They give you the long ball because they know they will eat it. So now picture the situation you are in as an opponent. You cannot play through the middle because the engine room has strangled it. You cannot counter them because they barely overcommit and they foul you if you try. You cannot go long because the defenders win everything. And you cannot relax because Messi is always 1 second from ending your tournament. The walls are closing in. The game is shrinking. The silence is beginning to fall. Because if you somehow survive all of that and drag the match to penalties, you are about to meet the most psychologically terrifying weapon this team owns. Football has a polite word for what Argentina do in the biggest moments. They call them the dark arts. It is a generous phrase for something that has reduced world-class footballers to nervous wrecks and rewritten the laws of the game. The face of it is Emiliano Martinez, and the legend of it was written in Qatar. On the road to lifting the last World Cup, Argentina went to penalties twice in the knockout rounds, and both times Martinez turned the shootout into a stage for psychological warfare. He talks. He never stops talking. He gets inside the head of every single player who steps up to face him. Before the last World Cup final even reached its shootout, he had a long history of it. In a Copa America semi-final, he told a Colombian penalty taker, plainly and to his face, that he was sorry, but he was going to stop him. And then, he did exactly that, saving 3 spot kicks and sending Argentina through. In the World Cup quarter-final against the Netherlands, a match so chaotic and bad-tempered it became known as the Battle of Lusail, he was at it again, throwing his arms wide, dancing, taunting, daring the Dutch to beat him. They could not. In the final against France, with the trophy on the line, he made himself enormous in the goal, deflected a crucial penalty, and badgered the referee into checking the ball over and over again to break the rhythm of the men trying to score. He threw the ball away from takers so they had to fetch it and stew on the walk back. He celebrated saves like a man possessed, leaping and roaring, specifically to plant doubt in the mind of whoever was next. He picked up a yellow card for it. He did not care. He had a trophy to win, and he understood something most goalkeepers do not. It is a battle of nerve. And nerve can be attacked. It worked so completely, so blatantly, that football's lawmakers were forced to respond. After that tournament, FIFA introduced a code of conduct for goalkeepers during shootouts, specifically targeting the kind of intimidation Martinez had perfected. Think about what that means for a moment. One man's mind games were so effective that the sport literally changed its rules to try to stop them. There is no greater testament to how powerful a weapon really is than the governing body of the entire sport deciding it has to be outlawed. The rules may have changed. The fear has not. The reputation remains. Every team that draws Argentina in a knockout match knows that if it goes the distance, they are walking toward a goalkeeper who has built his entire identity on breaking people in exactly that moment. The doubt is already planted long before the first penalty is struck. And doubt, in a shootout, is fatal. But the dark arts are not just one goalkeeper. They run through the whole team. This is a side that knows how to manage a game, how to slow it down when they are ahead, how to break the rhythm, how to win the small, ugly, unseen battles that decide tight matches. Even Messi plays on the edge of it. In that very first match against Algeria, he caught an opponent with a studded challenge that some argued deserved a red card, escaping without even a booking before going on to win the game. This is not a team that is here to make friends. This is a team that is here to win by whatever the rules will allow and occasionally by testing exactly where those limits lie. That is the full picture. That is the terrifying tactic in all its cold completeness. It is not one thing. That is what makes it so hard to beat. It is a system of traps stacked one on top of another, each one designed to punish whatever you try to do to escape the last. Strangle the midfield so you cannot build. Conserve the genius so he is always fresh for the killing blow. Counter in 3 seconds so your bravery becomes your downfall. Defend like a fortress so patience gets you nowhere. And break your nerve on the penalty spot if you somehow survive everything else. Every door you reach for is already locked. Every plan you make has already been anticipated. The game gets smaller and smaller until there is no room left to play at all. And it is all held together by a manager who refuses to be predictable. Scaloni does not marry himself to a single formation. He shifts between a back 4 and a back 3, between a 4-3-3 and a 4-4-2, sometimes within the same match, reshaping his team to neutralize whatever strength his opponent thinks they have. In 2022, he changed his entire shape to deal with the Netherlands. He has the depth to rotate world-class players in and out without his results dropping a single inch. You cannot prepare for Argentina the way you prepare for other teams, because you do not know which Argentina is going to walk out of the tunnel. You only know it is going to hurt. The road ahead is still long. After the statement against Algeria, Austria are next, with Jordan to follow to close out the group. And beyond that lies the longest, most punishing knockout gauntlet in the history of the tournament. A 48-team monster that demands more matches, more travel, more heat, and more survival than any World Cup before it. There are dangerous teams waiting in the bracket: France, Spain, Brazil, England, Germany, all of them carrying their own ambitions, all of them dreaming of being the side that finally ends the Messi story. But every single one of them now has to find an answer to the same impossible question. How do you beat a team that does not need to beat you? A team that is content to simply take the game away second by second until you are standing in that cold silence, watching the clock, waiting for the dagger you cannot see. That is the genius of it, and that is the terror of it. Argentina are not trying to be the most exciting team at this World Cup. They are trying to be the most unbeatable. And so far, they look exactly like a side that has remembered precisely how to do it. The defending champions have fired their first warning shot. The record is within touching distance. The machine is humming. And somewhere out there is a team that thinks it has found the secret to stopping them. History suggests they are about to learn, the hard way, that there is no secret at all. There is only the trap, and the silence, and the wait. Drop a comment and tell me who you think is the only team capable of stopping Argentina. Like and subscribe for more World Cup documentaries. Until next time.